Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. This is going to be a 1v1 game on the map Terranistan on the Battle.net unranked solo sort of ladder. And this is going to be me playing human against an enemy who was orc. And I'm going to be doing a tavern hero opening. I've been sort of exploring the idea of going for a tavern hero, basically going for a panda against orc. And the reason is, I think the Panda is pretty interesting because he is a strong AoE hero, and his ultimate is just absolutely game changing. And the Breath of Fire as the primary skill is going to be incredibly good against ground targets, headhunters, hits buildings, so burrows, heroes. He's quite strong. Like I said, if he does manage to get his ultimate, it can be just crazy. And Orc specifically is a race that has no magic immune units. So they are going to be particularly vulnerable to a power leveled panda because there's not really anything they can build that will avoid it, right? The Breath of Fire hits air, it hits ground, it hits mechanical targets, and it hits buildings, right? So and one thing you can do once you have leveled the panda sufficiently to like 3, 4, 5 is you can just start diving their base and causing an insane amount of damage, um, sort of forcing them to deal with it, right? You don't exactly want to fight their army sitting in their base. You don't exactly want to let them creep and like expand everywhere or mass towers everywhere. Orcs expansion timings are really weird. If they try to expand early, it's not really that good because their expansion builds very slowly, and then there's not really much. There's no real natural defense. Like if you get like an elf expansion relatively early, the workers are going to be protected. It can sort of, the tree of life can attack stuff or whatever, and I guess human and orc and undead also none of them are really have natural sort of defense, but the undead and the undead and human expansion, especially a power build human expansion, are going to build much quicker. So the timing window is a little bit more favorable for those, as it is. So it generally just orc doesn't exactly want to expand early typically. And yeah, like I said, they don't have something like an arcane tower. A lot of orcs aren't really going to want to build watchtowers, but even if they do build watchtowers, you can still run in there with a panda. And if you're hitting like a bunch of peons, a bunch of burrows, perhaps the Great Hall, um, with your Breath of Fire, just over and over and over again, it's going to force them to react, right? Especially if you come in there with mass defend footies. Now this game, I'm going to do sort of a more tech focused strategy, but I probably could have done this much smoother because what he does is actually, and some of that is because I wasn't paying close attention. But there's going to be a timing mid game where he actually uh, has me a little bit worried in this game, surprisingly. And it's going to be right at tier 2 when he pops a Naga out of the shop and he has a bunch of DPS and his hero has a decent chunk of items. He already got a Slippers of Agility right here. I sort of tried to contest that with the Panda. I think I did kill like 1 or 2 of the creeps there. So our hero levels are actually very close. He's at 80 experience. I'm at 88. Right? I'm going to send these footies to creep this alone, and I'm just going to be dancing around waiting to get a Breath of Fire. I don't get that one. Gonna go boop, get it. I think I might actually get this level 3 wizard, maybe. Actually, I don't know. Do I get it? Oh no, I don't get it, but I do get the item. So I sort of went for the grunt a little bit. I shouldn't have hit the creep, right? If I'm gonna hit it, I have to make sure I get the last hit, especially if it has frost armor, because I'm not gonna be getting that next attack. He's gonna be pathing me with his grunt, which is kind of cute. I say cute. It's really irritating people do that, but I can't really say much. I mean, when the situation comes up, I'll do that too. So it's just sort of a sweaty tryhard move that's just really irritating. It's like, oh, I want to chase this down, but he's just gonna body block me and can get annoying. But it is what it is. Saves the grunt. I'm going to pull back and creep, hopefully creep up. He grabs a troll priest here. He's going to creep this. So he creeps a bigger camp than me here. I don't use militia to creep right now. I think I use militia at this shop. So the shop doesn't exactly give you quite as good of options as the mercenary camp does. Because obviously he can get like a healer. He could get a troll berserker if he wanted to. I don't think he actually does. I forget. Headhunters are much cheaper, and they basically are just about as strong. They don't have as many hit points, and I don't think they do quite as much DPS. They may actually do the same DPS. They might just be less hit points, I think. But anyways, I'm going to call to arms, and I have defend now, so I'm going to go ahead and go here. I use a breath of fire there. That's maybe unnecessary, but it helps me do this quicker. And I do have a shop, so I can get a clarity potion. And a regen scroll. I have a lot of gold stuff. I'm about to be tier 2, so grabbing a hero at the tavern would be good. I forgot to reset the rally on my berries. That's why that footy was up there. But I should have actually grabbed a hero there. Actually, maybe. I don't know. I want to get... Well, I should wait until I get level 3, but I'm really close. Oh, I think here's what the problem is. Doing the creep route that I did, even with like the kills and stuff up here, he got the Mer camp and the shop. He gets level 3. I'm gonna be 1 kill short. I didn't want to start and do any of this camp to get 3. I was like, I'll just run up here and maybe try to get it, maybe somewhere else. But this is gonna be really bad timing. I dropped the slippers there because like I don't really need the slippers, whatever. But yeah, what I should have done is I should have just bit the bullet and either crept like 1 or 2 things here or 1 thing here to get 3 before I go in. Because this is going to be a terrible time. He's about to power spike right here at the tavern. And I think I was like macroing my base, like what do I want to tech into, what do I want to build, and I wasn't exactly sure. Sort of a, some bad plan is sometimes better than no plan kind of a deal. So I run in here, and I really, at this particular moment, I really don't have any clue what he's got besides he had a Blade Master and Grunts. He's got a potion of greater healing. Yeah, circlet slipper's it's too scary, but I mean it's plus 5 damage, it's an extra 50 health, or it's extra 30 mana, whatever. I do have defend. I didn't turn it on, so this footage is just gonna get sniped before I even use defend. Now I think I do turn defend on. Do I turn it on? Oh geez, I didn't. Okay, it's on now at least. I'm 2 footies down already in this battle. And I used Breath of Fire because I was like, oh, geez, I need to get a kill here. So I tried to use Breath of Fire to get the kill first. But notice if I would have just crept this, like 1 thing here to get 3 going into this fight, that first Breath of Fire would have been level 2, which is actually very important. Also, let's take a look at the food count. I'm at 27. He is at 43. I'm quite surprised he was able to do that on 1 barracks, honestly. But Headhunters build really, really fast, and he insta pops the if I just instantly get a hero at the tavern, it's gonna jump me up to 33 at least. But he's at 43. That's just kind of nuts, honestly. Like I don't know. He has a bigger army than me. I mean, I know I did tech to tier 3 and start these aviaries, but man, he's on 1 barracks. This just seems kind of shocking. He did grab a mercenary, but he only grabbed 1. So, but anyways, he's got a substantial army to lead on me. I'm at 4 footies. He's at 2 grunts, 4 headhunters, and a troll berserker, and a second hero. The second hero is really what's the X factor here. If I grabbed a Naga or a Pit Lord here or a Dark Ranger, I would actually be fine in this battle because defend is so strong, and my items are actually pretty good, especially now that I have level 3. If I would have gotten level 3 before that battle started, like, he probably loses two more headhunters just right off because of the strength of Breath of Fire. None of having to TP, and I didn't grab a hero there, and I was like, what kind of second hero am I gonna get? I have to destroy this tree to get out because I TP'd inside of my base, which it's not gonna take me too long, but it's just something, just buy him like a couple of seconds to get in position. pull the footies. He's going to be pushing with demolishers. He's built demolishers. This is an interesting. I'm curious how this strat works out. Not to say this is some kind of like really strong build against human, but if I was just doing standard human, right? Maybe I have an expo and some towers, and I'm trying to take into casters, headhunters, and destroyers, and Blade Master Naga would be seemingly pretty scary against uh, actually sniping heroes or casters. Heroes, when I say heroes, an Archmage is more the standard. Sniping an Archmage with a Blade Master and Naga and two grunts and a Demolisher actually in the Headhunters, it's a lot of DPS. This is actually probably a strategy he gets a fair amount of wins with, to be honest. Obviously, I could have done things smoother, but I didn't. I didn't expend a bunch of resources on it. Expansion that at this 7-minute mark probably is only barely giving, it may be breaking even, but it may still be behind in resources. So in terms of stopping this push, the Expo may not exactly be that great against this timing. So that's why I say I think this is a pretty decent strategy this guy sort of, done. And my execution against it was not the greatest because I didn't get 3. My creep route should have been better, so I just get level 3 for one thing. And then if I don't have level 3, I just make sure I do something to get it, like creep one more thing here or something, right? So, and also, like, you could just get the second hero, right? Like, fighting him without the second hero, oh my, did I miss that? Was that a bad breath of fire? I don't even, maybe it was, I don't know. But anyways, maybe not, I'm not really sure. But you gotta make sure your breath of fire is hit, because especially for me, like, all my value is there. I sort of A-clicked these militia, so could have just sent them on the demo probably first. His army is, if his army's just sitting here and there's nothing to hit, then it's not really doing anything. So he's maybe chasing me or running down here to the demo, but he's, momentarily he's out of position. But if I run my militia alone in there while my footies are up here, now my militia are way out of position. They just feed him. They did some damage for sure to his Naga, which actually does end up being somewhat important. But I'm not really microing this that well. I'm like, what am I focusing? I put some damage on the Naga. I should just be going on the Headhunters probably. Breath of Fire, boom. Spreading the damage with these heroes is not bad. I went Mana Siphon first, and I Mana Siphoned his hero first. Probably better to Mana Siphon my Panda some, under 285, and then I have, room. I don't push over 285 and then have negative mana regeneration. But denying him mana, I guess, is good. Maybe I hit the Naga, but his Naga's only level 1, so he doesn't have Fork Lightning. So probably, like I said, probably just Mana Siphon my own Panda first, and then, and again, his Blade Master having mana. Honestly, I could have also just went Flame Strike, and that probably would have been just as good. Just Flame Strike. He's got a decent number of units that are very damaged. His Naga has to be very careful. Flame Strike would have been a pretty dangerous weapon. So, and it doesn't, channeling does reduce your DPS because you're channeling, you're not actually attacking. Flame Strike is a channeling spell too, but it's a much shorter channel. So I don't think I get as much value from stealing his mana right now. But giving it to the Panda is going to be strong because it's level 2 Breath of Fire. So, but yeah, as played, that wasn't exactly the great. Like, look, Flame Strike here would be super dangerous if I would have Mana Siphoned. My Panda has enough mana to Breath of Fire, though, so he had 2 Breath of Fires in the tank. So maybe that's not really, it doesn't, he just doesn't need mana on his Blade Master is the main thing. Like, if his hero was like a TC or a Farseer with like 100 mana or something, then the stealing the mana would be pretty good. And he can't wind walk, right? He can be up, if he wind walks out of the Mana Siphon immediately, he sort of cancels it. So he didn't do it there, but he did it a minute ago. So, but once his Blade Master is out of mana, obviously Windwalk is off the table, and then Surrounds become a thing. So it just takes a little bit to really get the value there. But anyways, he's got a demo. I don't exactly know what the deal with he's going to keep producing demos, which I think is a mistake. If you have a big edge and you're pushing, and they're like towering in, they're trying to hide in their base, or you're able to just take free shots at like farms and stuff. Yeah, demolishers for sure. And against like a a low hit point like intelligence here, like an archmage or something, when you also have the ability to focus fire with the blade master and the naga. I think it should have just kept on me, honestly. I mean, I've got more DPS, but he had healing. I mean, I don't think he can give me this much space. His blade master was item stacked. He had 90 mana. He has to stick around. And if he catches me doing this, snipe creeps, snipe units, make it harder. He doesn't need to be creeping with this Naga. I don't even think he. Obviously, he does it quicker with the Blade Master, but he wants the Naga. I mean, the Naga's gonna hit too, but he gets more value by splitting the Blade Master off and stopping me. I think he's got enough units to do that and still creep efficiently. And then he maybe gets closer to level 3 on the Naga, which is level 3 is a big power spike. Whereas 4, he's close to 4. He'll get 4 pretty easily if he creeps just anything else. But creeping here, I'm going to Mana Siphon, keep the Panda up. Mana Siphon on the Troll High Priest to keep the Blood Mage's mana up. He's going to go here. He's got, again, these demos build slow. They're slow moving. They don't hit air. They're not particularly good against, especially against a strength hero. They're not generally good against heroes, honestly. The only saving grace is if you're against an Archmage first or something like that. The Archmage is quite fragile. So with the Blade Master Naga and the demos, you could sort of surprise them by actually how dangerous you are. Plus, I'm going Griffins instead of Casters, so demos are a massive liability at this stage. Pop the Envelope Potion, Mana Siphon away, Flame Strike away. Got a Mud Golem. A Muddy as some, I think the Back to Warcraft guy says Muddy. Neo. So yeah, we're going to his army again. Like I said, he's gonna. Did he have all of his units there? I guess I feel like he did. He didn't TP out with all of his demos, which is bad. He's gonna build a double bestiary. He does another important point right now. He's got tons of lumber, plenty of gold. He could have at any point before this, and definitely at this point, seeing the Griffins. You got to try to get the fortified burrows. I mean, we're almost 13 minutes in. You are running a massive risk not to get this. It's a fair lumber cost, but he's got plenty of lumber. Even after building these 2 bestiaries and going to tier 3, almost 500 lumber. I mean, just get the upgrade. I mean, is he getting upgrades? No, he's only got 1 attack upgrade for the demos and the headhunters. He had plenty of time to do it, I'm pretty sure. So, because the problem is what you're going to see. If I have a free shot at the burrows, they're like paper mache at this point, especially against Griffins, but even against Footies alone. Footies, level 2 Breath of Fire, level 1 Flame Strike, they're going to be just paper mache. Demos don't really do anything now for him. 2 Footies, right? Footies are going to melee units and melee hero, like, it's in the Griffins. It's just, what can they do, right? They're not really doing much of anything. On defense, right? Unless you're like sort of camping inside your base, demos are just gonna get smashed. I can basically ignore them, right? I'd love to just put a Griffin on there, but it's like I use a heal potion or greater heal potion, maybe, I don't know. Dance around. I have a staff, so it's like I want him to focus the Blade Master. I don't really care. Focus Blade Master, boom, staff out. I could have let him take a little bit more damage, but staff him out, 100 health. Run the Mud Golem. He's got nothing really to deal with these Griffins. He doesn't even have the orb yet on his Blade Master. Yeah, he can dish out some damage. He can actually maybe make me TP, but actually, use the potion. What are you doing, bro? If he grabs an orb and uses the potion, I think he can just dive my Panda and get me out of here, but which actually would be very, very, a very good move for him. Because he is now finally realizing, these burrows are heavy armor. I need this upgrade. He's not tier 3. Maybe he thought he needed tier 3, but he's not quite there yet. He's almost there, so maybe that's not the case. I don't know, but anyways, the main takeaway here is he's too late. These burrows are done, right? And not diving my Panda, they're really gonna be done. Because if he at least makes me TP, maybe I TP the Griffins out. Actually, if he had an orb, I probably would TP the Griffins out, which would save these burrows, would let him get the fortified, would make this actually an interesting game. But he didn't. it was too late. He didn't have the orb yet. He's just now tier 3, so that makes I should have split those preemptively so that this one took a Bat Rider explosion that it should not have. It didn't need to. Also, should get away from the. I don't know that he's there. He was Windwalk, so can't exactly blame me for not knowing exactly where his BM would be. He concocts on that one, but he doesn't kill it. Now I TP out, but look, he's at 11. He's stuck at 11 food. He's at 18 food. Hasn't got his Naga back. Can't build any more anything, and he doesn't have the resource. He doesn't really have that much gold. So to even build the burrows to get back up there, he's going to need one, maybe two more burrows to realistically build stuff. Two more burrows is going to be like 320 gold. So have fun with that. Says throws the GG and leaves the game. Again, he put on a fair bit of aggression on me, and I was really actually poorly prepared for it for a number of reasons. My strategy itself was at that particular timing, because I was more focused on teching, I didn't really do the things that would make it pay off. I didn't really leverage my tech into much value at first, right? I could have had better items, right? A heal potion, a mana potion. I'm not sure if I went into that battle with that stuff. I don't think I did, in fact. I could have gotten a second hero before I engaged him. I could have went for a strategy that sort of started, ramping up in power level, tier 2, 2.5. You have to, if you're going to build, casters, you have to build Arcane Sanctums. So it's like, and then you got to start building them. So it's, I sort of see them as a tier 2.5 unit, because you have to build that extra production buildings that you can only start in tier 2. It's what I would call maybe a pure tier 2 unit would be like a Demolisher when you've already, you can already build the barracks. A Gargoyle. Those are really the only ones, I think. Yeah, because the other ones, I mean, you get those out of the barracks or the crypt, respectively. So, and then the other ones like casters and dryads and all that stuff, they require a tier 2 production building. So, you throw half of a tier in there, tier 2.5, or in the case of like tier 3.5 stuff like frost worms or chimera, stuff like that. Timings are slightly different, but I could have been going for casters, and definitely that second hero is the big deal. I could have been going for dragon. I could have gotten some dragon hawks. So, but I didn't. I was just going straight for the griffin. So it was a delayed thing. The micro with the militia and the positioning and the militia and the footies and everything, very wonky. Execution on my blood mage was probably not ideal. Strictly, it was like like I said, I was in a little bit of a panic. It's like, dang, his army, it feels like he's dishing out a ton of, and some of that's because the headhunters build so quick, right? You can mass up headhunters like it's nobody's business, and they're versatile, they're strong. Behind a couple of grunts, a blade master, a naga. The demos were sort of like demo or two headhunters, right? It's like which one? I mean, obviously, if you're seeing they're sieging, you would love one or two demos. And even hitting on like certain heroes of demos not bad. The splash damage, like I said, the demos sort of sneaky. They have potential, right? Sort of a risk reward type deal. They're very slow, reasonably fragile. They don't hit air, right? But their range is extreme. The damage or their attack, their projectile attack can be dodged relatively easily. So, sort of a sweaty tryhard player or a player that's reasonably good probably could and should do a really good job of just I should just dive the demolishers, right? I should just sort of just jailbreak, dive the demo. If he's only got one or if he's got two, just maybe just go for the demo kill, right? It's slow, so he's not really going to be able to micro it back. It's very costly. I don't know what tier of unit is, or sorry, what level of unit it counts as, but it probably counts as a higher tier unit than a grunt or a headhunter, right? Now, in terms of like which would you rather trade off, if you're gonna have to sit in your base, obviously you'd be a little bit more worried about the demos. But in general, you probably are you probably want to focus a lot of times you're going to just go for the headhunters instead. Grunts are a poor choice to focus because they have a ton of health, and their DPS is not that great in their melee, so you can just sort of dance around them. They're slow, and killing them is going to take a lot of damage, right? So they're probably the least favorable target, except for maybe the blade master that's like level 3 with a greater heal potion and plenty of mana. So yeah, you're either really realistically either going for the headhunters or the demos, or if you can sync us around on the Naga, right? The Naga's not a terrible choice either because she's pretty fragile too, and her move speed, they buffed the move speed of a lot of the slower heroes, so her move speed is not terrible. But if you surround it, then she's not going to really run away. And then Orc doesn't have any kind of staff or something. He could pass a greater health potion. So that's the one thing about focusing any hero, even the second hero, even if the second hero doesn't have the healing item or whatever item, the TP or whatever, they can always pass. They always have the option, or the chance to try to pass the item that would save them in some ways and sort of nullify the damage that you've done, essentially. So that's one of the reasons why if you want to make sure you're getting the kills, there's no insta heal for the Demolisher, really. Maybe that like a restoration scroll, I guess, is the one thing that maybe I don't even know if that does it. I'm not sure if that affects mechanical targets, right? But anyways, the demo, there's no real heal. You can't salve it. You can't hold, heal wave it. It's slow. It's bulky. You know, and I don't. It might actually have more health than the Headhunter. Though, so it's like I don't know, but depending on what damage types you have, with footies, it doesn't matter if it's heavy armor or actually a medium armor takes more against footy, so it still does matter. You with normal damage, you'd probably rather focus Headhunters. With piercing damage, you would rather pop off the heavy armor Demolisher because medium armor reduces piercing damage, I think by 25% or something. So yeah, there's a slight efficiency or better efficiency for focusing a heavy armor target. There, so that's something to sort of take into account, not just against demos and headhunters or whatever, but like ghouls and fiends or fiends and statues. That's a similar thing. Fiends and statues. Statues are they're about a similar cost to fiends, right? 200 gold. I forget the lumber, 3 food, but they're mechanical and they're probably, I don't know if they're slow as the demos, right? And then you get a Holy Aura, but it's like, it's fiends are medium and then statues are heavy. Now fiends have more health than a headhunter in their 3 foods. So they may be a higher level of unit too, but they can be healed by stuff like heal salves and heal wave can heal headhunters. Heal spray can heal headhunters. Death coil can heal fiends. The statues themselves are going to be healing the fiends. Heal scrolls can heal the fiends. They can burrow becomes a thing for fiends if you got it. There's no upgrade to make the demolishers or the statues really more evasive. I guess the destroyer upgrade, if they pop it into a destroyer, that's going to give it some different sort of characteristics. Obviously, magic immunity, flying, etc. So it changes the armor to light, which is also another could be good, could be bad type of situation. So yeah. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of this audio. Pretty straightforward game. Interesting timing push. I haven't really faced that type of combo and timing push maybe once or twice, something sort of like that. But I was thinking to all those demos for that kind of a push. I like, I'm not really against it. I like the aggression. I like the, against this sort of standard stuff. I think he maybe did it a little bit blindly because I didn't expand, but maybe if I don't expand, I'm still like maybe trying to tech. Maybe comes in and cancels something. Like I said, maybe it is pretty hard to stop because you can't bolt the Demolisher. Thundercloud doesn't hit the Demolisher. It does have some pretty good focus fire potential on maybe a fragile Archmage. With the Blade Master Naga, all the grunts and handlers. With the 2 grunts in the demo, you have a fairly good, and then also maybe the Blade Master and the Naga at level 1 or especially at level 2 or 3. You have a good sort of good tools to put damage on and kill footmen. Yeah, if you got defend, okay, it's going to be annoying for the headhunters, but you got a demo, you got maybe 2 demos, you got a blade master chopping in there, you got a couple of grunts, right? So once you start limiting those footy numbers, what is the human really going to do? He's going to, and that's the sort of the thing about headhunters. You can mass them out so fast, right? And I'm thinking about what other kind of strategies, like paladin rifles. Somebody told me paladin rifles is okay against orc. Yeah, I know if you get up a critical mass of that, it can be pretty good against a lot of different stuff. I know headhunters build quicker than rifles. They're cheaper. They outrange them until you get the long rifle upgrade. But I guess you're massing rifles. You're really realistically looking to get that upgrade relatively in a timely manner, which means then your rifles will outrange his headhunters. They'll have more hit points. They don't really. It's not like a visible projectile for that, so it's maybe harder to really as quickly recognize what they're focusing. It's not really all that much, but the difference between a second or two reaction time can sometimes make a big difference. I mean, you can look at your units, which one's getting damaged, obviously, but like I said, it's just slightly more subtle, um, as it is. But yeah, the cost and stuff. I always feel like rifles, are they really a counter to headhunters? But then you've got those big heals, and then you got the extra range, and then what was I gonna say? But yeah, when you build 2 grunts, the 2 grunts again. I think the 2 grunts are gonna probably get killed quick against the rifle. So it's like I don't know, is that really good against the rifle strategy? Well, it might not be, but he did sort of pop out a big army relatively quickly. So yeah, at various points he did have way more food than me. So, and again, like I said, I think that's partly because headhunters just build so quick. They're only 2 food though, so it's like I don't know. I don't know. Was I macroing poorly? Perhaps. I'm not really sure. Um, but yeah. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of this audio. Again, but I like the panda. I do like the panda against orc, because the strength of the panda is in these little like quick. Well, he's not only good in quick engagements, because actually, if you go Drunken Haze, you can sort of have really, it's still sort of short, right? The duration of Drunken Haze, I guess if you cast it multiple times, but it's like, but you really just want to be going into these like really short battles, right? And the kiting and stuff does. If I'm just trying to pop, Breath of Fire, run away, run around, Breath of Fire, run around, Breath of Fire. If I want to do that, and if I can do that against your army, um, what is the, does he have ensnare? Is he gonna go, shaman for purge and bloodlust? If I just get an invul potion and run around, breath of fire, breath of fire, breath of fire, it's gonna really limit what he can, really can do, right? If I throw up an invul potion, I'm invincible, and I hit, breath of fire, run around, invul potion, run around, breath of fire, run around, use a heal potion, breath of fire, TP. What can he really do with his army? If he didn't go Shadow Hunter for heal, it's gonna feel pretty rough for those, I don't know, 15-second engagement, and then they just do it again. I don't have to play this game where he's like, I just have a standing fight against, a better ranged army, a more efficient army, a bigger army, right? I just get my hero leveled, and then I just use mana potions and just boom, churn damage, churn damage, churn damage, TP. And he's hitting me with a bunch of headhunters potentially. Not hit. Well, his strategy did also have a bunch of headhunters, but like the more normal one is less grunts and no demos and headhunters, right? Like most of his damage coming in from units at least, it's going to be piercing or magic. So it gets cut in half against the hero if that's what he's focusing. So I just do that, do that, do that. Plus, if I catch him out of position before he gets the Berserker upgrade, before he really gets power leveled, and before he really gets the 50, the 80 food army, the Bloodlust, the Lightning Shield, from the Shaman, before all that stuff comes online, and before he has a chance to creep, like, just creep out of his mind, I'm in his burrows, right? And if he's trying to creep out of his mind, he's out of position. I'm on his burrows, right? So maybe sitting on maybe sitting on 40 food, 45 food, and then boom, I show up in his main base, unfortified burrows. Maybe he's getting the upgrade he doesn't have it yet. Even if he does get it really quick, I think you generally just show up faster. You get level 3, you show up. There's no way it's finished, right? You have to start it in tier 2. He can have spikes. If he's smart and he sees me double barracks footy massing, I didn't double barracks mass here, but if he sees me really trying to do that, he gets spikes. Spikes is a pretty good, pretty efficient upgrade. It does wonders because they buffed it. So there's now a minimum damage reflected plus the percentage, which against footies and ghouls and these low hit point these low damage units, it's a huge in terms of percentage base. It's a huge jump in damage than before compared to before. Since it's a percentage on a footy or a ghoul, or a beetle or something, doesn't really seem as as impressive. But the percentage plus sort of just a raw, static number, sort of a base number is and depending on what that base number is, if it was like 1 or 2, that wouldn't be anything. But let me look and see what it actually is. I feel like it's like 5 damage or something. Let's see. Surrounds orc bones with spikes that damage enemy melee attackers 5 damage per attack, plus X percentage of the attacker's damage, where X for the first level of spike barricades is 20%. The improved version, the base damage does not. It seems like it doesn't increase, but the percentage, it says base damage 5, additional damage. Okay, additional damage 50% for the improved spike barricades. So it goes up by 150%, going from 20% to 50. That sounds really. You mean 30%? Well, no, I mean as a relative to 20%, 50. It goes up 30% of whatever the attacker's damage is. But in terms of relative to what the first level's percentage was, 20, going from 20 to 50, you see is 150% jump, right? Because 100% will be an extra 20, then it'll get you to 40%, and then another 10% is half of 20. So it's a big jump for 50 gold, 100 lumber, and 75-second research time. Research time for the first one is 60 seconds, 25 gold. It says 75 lumber. I feel like is that right? I feel like they jumped that to 150%. No, sorry. I feel like they jumped that to 175 lumber. Maybe I'm wrong. Huh. Is it only 75? That seems incorrect. I think it used to be 200 lumber. I don't know. I don't know what it used to be. I feel like it's way more than 75. I'm pretty sure it's 175. So that would be a mistake on this page. But anyways, the main takeaway though is 5 damage per attack, which footies are doing. Their DPS I think is somewhere around 10 or 11. So you could say you might just eyeball and say, 5 damage is like 50% or something that's like a 50% damage reflection. And that's the base, and then there's an extra 20%. So 20% of 10 would be 2, so you're getting 7 damage reflected per attack on a unit that's only hitting for 10 damage. That's like, if it's 10 damage, that's 70%. If it's 11, it's less. But, that's a, you can see how much that 5 damage is. That 5 damage is way more than the 20%. Now, when it's 50%, it's probably about even, right? But the 5 damage on a footy or a ghoul is basically going to be 50% of their damage, I think. Or it's going to be close, right? It might be like 40% or something. DPS is not the same as their attack damage. It takes into account their attack speed as well. So, but anyways, off into the weeds there. The main takeaway though is, level 1 spike barricades is reflecting significantly more than 20% now. It used to be different. It used to be no base damage reflection. So there was no floor. The floor was like, or it was literally just the 20%, or what? It might not have been 20, but it was whatever the percentage was. So they buffed it from before. Um. Oh wow, that's right. I'm looking at spike barricades. I'm dumb. I was the 175 or lumber cost. I was looking at fortified. Fortified. Reinforced defenses. Smack myself in the head. Yeah, the spike upgrades are much cheaper than reinforced defenses. Right, 75, 175 for reinforced defenses compared to 25 and 75. So it's 100 less lumber and 50 less gold. Right, and the research time is probably quicker too. No, they're okay. 60 seconds. It's 1 minute for both level one and level one spike barricades and reinforced. So yeah, but anyways, and the spike barricades is available in tier one. Improved spike barricades is available in tier two. Um, research at the war mill. So yeah, Orc has some tools to fight back against these kind of like arguably trolly, you know, well, not really trolly, but more cheesy strategy. Some people call it cheese to do these sort of dive the burrows or dive the worker strategies or mass raiders or mass bats, whatever. I mean, it's a strategy game. People are goofy. Like it's like if it's a strong strategy, why is it off the table? Yeah, maybe the ease of execution is low, but I mean, let's be honest, right? It's like we're splitting hairs here because the meta strategies in some sense are typically the most versatile, most effective strategies. Now they may have, some of them may have high skill ceilings where the better you are, some of them might be hard to execute, sort of to the sort of top of their, sort of the best of, to maximize their effectiveness. It might be hard for some of the strategies, right? But you want to be able to consistently do it and consistently win, in whatever the matchups the strategies are used in, which means that it's probably the best, most consistent strategy people can come up with, right? The reason these other strategies are probably not the meta is there are specific weaknesses that, at least at the highest level, at the very least, at the highest level, there are ways to exploit the strategy and render it ineffective, and that's why it's not the meta. It's not because people are like, I'm not going to attack burrows or I'm not going to attack workers. I don't think there's like a nobility or on quote honor. I'm not going to say that people don't like, they're not playing fairly per se or whatever. And it would be stupid if there was like, hey, build this hero, it does 1,000 damage a hit. Like the game would be totally broken at the highest levels. Either people would be doing that, or there would have to be a rule, literally a rule, or a way to prevent people from doing that in the tournament settings or something. Or else, like I said, people would just, hey, you want to win, you want to give yourself the best chance to win. I mean, you're using, you're using body blocking, you're doing every trick in the book aside from like literally map. Well, even some people will map back, but instead of literally like actually cheating in some ways, like circumventing the game mechanics as they're meant for, as they're meant. Um, and then even then, sometimes the game mechanics people try to. It's a gray area of like certain ways to pull creeps and make their AI bug out, like where they won't cast the spells. You see that in high level. They will pull like the rock golems on certain camps in such a way where they won't cast Boulder. I've heard of people doing the same thing on some other forest map where there's a camp with like Bloodlust, Purge, Chain Lightning. They figured out a way to lure that supposedly with the Dark Mage without attacking and running to where it doesn't trigger the spells, and then they won't, then you can actually start creeping and they actually won't cast the spells. That seems like almost an exploitation, like a glitch type of thing. People are doing that, right? That, maybe it's few and far between with some of these things, but they're, the high level, they're pulling the rock golem. That's pretty much the standard, I think, for a lot of strategies. If you can do that, you're gonna do it, right? Like, It's not like, well, I'm not going to do that. It's a little bit glitchy on the AI. No, you're going to do that to give yourself the best chance to win, and people are doing it. It's not like, there's not a, like I said, there's not like an honor code. Hey, the game mechanics were meant to be this way. It's like, these game mechanics, these, at least the creep AI ones, uh, we're we're gonna do, we're gonna push this as far as we can, and we're gonna do whatever trick we can to make this, make this easier, and that's just the way it is. So if you have a strategy where, it feels effective and it's fun, right, to do, I mean, who's to say don't do that, right? There's a lot of strategies that I find irritating. The Bat Rider strategy or whatever, certain, you know, um, well executed, like undead nuking, basically everything when it's well executed can be like a player that's really good at surrounds, is really good at body blocking, that's really skilled. It can feel like a chore to play against them, honestly, because you basically have to play really cleanly against people that are, and in higher and higher levels of skill. You have to play that much more cleanly, and the certain strategies that may work at lower levels, and when I say they're exploitable, maybe at higher levels, those higher level people, if there's an exploit and there's a hole in your strategy, a lot of times they will just know it, or they will be able to figure it out on the fly, and that's it. You're gonna have to beat them in some other way, whether it's micro or macro or something else. You're not just gonna surprise them and beat them because they don't know how to counter your build. Sometimes you can maybe get away with that because a lot of people will do the same things over and over, and they will get on autopilot and blah 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 blah. And not everybody's the highest, like the world class, like whatever you throw at them. They've seen it, they've done it themselves. They can, they either know how to counter it just already based on their, you know, thousands of games or whatever, or they have enough grasp of the game mechanics and they're so good at all the other aspects of the game that yeah, maybe you did surprise them, and maybe they're gonna have to, maybe they didn't do the most efficient way to counter this thing, but they're so good at micro and everything else that whatever the weaknesses of the strategy are, from sort of just more in general, they're going to be pushing it, right? If you have, not that much catch, or if you have sort of weak heroes, or if you have not that much range, or not that much anti-air, or not that much siege, or whatever it is you're missing, they're going to probably quickly be able to recognize it. And so it's going to come down to your micro versus theirs, your macro versus theirs, your versatility, the versatility of your strategy versus theirs. And like I said, it's skill on skill. They're gonna make you earn that win. And I've played against people, even world class people, in solo games and stuff like that. And it's just like some of them, it's just clear that like you are you have your work cut out for you unless they make some massive error, which again they're world class. They do it less than most other people. so so you're not going to get easy wins. You're going to have to play clean. Your strategy is going to have to be solid at all stages. It's going to have to be solid against somebody that knows how to micro. They know how to sort of fight against it, probably. And the more and more you do the strategy, and the more and more they see the strategy, right after they see it once, if they haven't seen it before, or they see it once with you, they'll sort of probably think about, hey, what was going on here? Well, they'll probably look at the replay. They'll probably think about the game, and like, hey, and they'll figure, they'll adjust, they'll adapt, right? And if you figured out something that's actually so good, it's actually on par with some of the other meta strategies, it'll probably start popping up, right? The more you do it, other people will try it, and then the more it pops up and the more it's common, people have to adapt to it, or they just keep losing to it. Then it's like it's just a good solid strategy, and then maybe if it's literally a broken strategy. I don't think there's a lot of broken strategies in Warcraft 3 now, or even throughout most of the history of the game. There were strategies that were really strong, maybe a little bit more imbalanced than than other strategies. But it wasn't like, I'm just going to make this, I'm going to get 99% no matter who I'm playing against if they're not doing the same thing you're doing. It's just not the case, right? You know, it's the game is reasonably well balanced given all the differences. I would say there are things I would change and things I think a lot of people would unanimously call imbalanced. Right now, that's probably headhunters. It's probably one of the main ones I would think. Other than that, I don't really. Somebody said statues. There's a player I respect who's quite good. Not quite like the top, like, you know, 20 player or something in the whole world, but he's a solid enough player and he plays enough to where he's, you know, I would respect his opinion on balance. He, as an undead player, as a main, he plays a lot of the other races, but he plays undead main. Um, he said statues. I think he said that a lot of people would say statues a little bit too strong. As undead, I guess, I mean, the value you get out of a 3-food statue is pretty good, but I mean, it's a support unit. I mean, is it strictly worse than like priests or bears? I mean, it's weird to compare them because they're very different units, but I don't I don't know. I mean, you really just need like one or two statues, and you can have really amazing sustain. I guess when really pushed to the maximum of their abilities, right? Like manually using like heal and mana, heal and mana from one statue. It's sort of like giving you Brilliant Aura too, like healing and Brilliant Aura, but it also does require you to micro a lot. I mean, so I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't really want to nerf that support unit, but maybe the game would be better that way. Um, I mean, I think about like priests and stuff. I feel like priests and other like priests or bears. I mean, they offer sort of similar thing. Like you're getting a lot of heals between. You don't get mana from that stuff, so I guess that's the difference. But um, and one statue, I guess, potentially at max can heal 60 health. Because I think you hit 10 target, or no, it hit 6 targets at max for 10 healing per. So, in terms of efficiencies, you know, it's 3 food versus 2 food for a priest, 200 gold versus 135 gold. So you can't really afford 2 priests for the same price. It would be 4 food and like 270 gold, I think. So you would be able to heal 50. You'd be hitting 2 targets for 25 healing. So, I mean, and some sort of on paper, yeah, maybe statues are a little bit strong. Maybe it should be 7 healing. I don't know, but I wouldn't personally really want to see them nerf statues. Not to mention that I'm on an undead. I would say undead is my main, but honestly, I've probably played way more games with other races at least recently. But there are other like headhunters. I would definitely nerf headhunters more because they're available tier 1. They just seem way more imbalanced. Um, what else? I think it's mostly. Trying to think what else I would change. There isn't really much else I would change besides headhunters. I would say, at least in terms of unit balance. Um, when I think about Cloud seems real. It's weird, but it's like probably not even barely used. But Cloud seems like an amazingly efficient upgrade that no other race can compare with. I think I would make meat wag. Well, I don't know. That's way off on tangent. I don't. Let me get into a whole balance discussion. I'll just cut the replay here or the audio here, and yeah, it's gonna be the end of this audio. ScryMind signing out.